Today we're going to look at two very easy suttas. They're connected and they are very important to remind us of our practices. Lay people, even as renunciants, the teachings are all there. These are the very basic teaching revolving around this remarkable layman called Mahānāma. Mahānāma means the one with the great name. Mahānāma is the Buddha's cousin, is the son of Amitodana, who is the brother of Suddhodana, the Buddha's father. So he's one of those Sakyas who stayed home, who remained as a layman, while many of them renounced the world to become monks, following the Buddha. So he's a typical layman. He's used to a life of ease and luxury and wealth. And he's declared by the Buddha to be the foremost of lay people who give the best or the choicest alms offering. He's a rich man, so he gives very good food to the monks. But in these two suttas, the Buddha teaches him the basic principles of being a layman. Okay, so today I'm going to read to you both the suttas. Then I'm going to talk about them together in a connected way. Okay, so to put together all the things we have learned and to remind you how to practice as a true Buddhist who follows the Buddha's teaching. All right. So the first sutta is SD 6.3. Now, if you look at the date, this sutta was translated long ago. That's in 2004, actually. It was revised many times. And this is called Aṭṭhaka Mahānāma Sutta. Aṭṭhaka, let's notice in brackets, the eighth discourse to Mahānāma. And you look at the reference A 8.25, right? So this is from the book of eights. There are 8 points. And normally these are the teachings for lay people. Okay, either you remember 8.25 or the Aṭṭhaka Mahānāma Sutta. If that is too difficult, just remember Mahānāma Sutta and then later backtrack. Think of Aṭṭhaka, 8 things. What makes a true lay follower? Okay, so this is the first one. Yeah. And then the second one is called but actually I'll introduce you the second one first. Huh? So actually the 6.3 is the second one, then 6.2 is the first one, but they are interconnected anyway. So 6.2 here is called Sotāpatti Mahānama Sutta. Here again, notice Mahānama Sutta, but the prefix is Sotāpatti. Streamwinning, the discourse on Mahānāma on streamwinning. Now this one is from Samyutta Nikaya, S55.37. Now this sutta has another name. It's called Upāsaka sampadā Mahānama Sutta. Upāsaka sampadā means the accomplished layman or the accomplishment of a lay follower. How to be ideal, or at least the best, a true lay follower. So these are also on the spiritual qualities of the true lay follower. Okay, so let's look at the first one here on the screen. Let's go down and look at the translation itself just below. So very easy sutta. Sotāpatti Mahānama Sutta, the discourse to Mahānāma on streamwinning. S55.37. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Nigrodha's park in Kapilavatthu, in Sakya country. So that the Buddha is back in Sakya country. Then Mahānāma, the Sakya, said this to the Blessed One. Bante, in what way is one a lay follower, Upāsaka? Okay. Notice this word Upāsaka. It means someone who sit up close to. Like you all now, see, although you're all far away in different countries, you all are sitting up close to the Dhamma. We are sitting close together, connected by the internet on Zoom. Okay, so we're Upāsaka, we are Upāsika. Upāsaka is the masculine, Upāsika is the feminine. Those who sit up close to the Buddha, close to the Dhamma. Okay, so then this is the thesis question. In what way is one a lay follower? Then the Buddha replies, Mahānāma. When one has gone for refuge to the Buddha, one has gone for refuge to the Dhamma, one has gone for refuge to the Sangha. Then Mahānāma, one is a lay follower. So this is where you get the famous definition of the three refuges. Okay. Later I will explain to you what this means. Okay. So notice here the Buddha just say this, but does not give details. All right. Now this is very important to understand. The early Buddhism, in fact Buddhism as a whole, even later Buddhism, is not like other religions. Now this is the thing. Right now I'm doing this research. You know, there was a time when people used to ask, is Buddhism a religion? Is it philosophy? Is it this? Is it that? Right? It's not an easy question to answer. But you have to learn this from experience. So from my experience, I examine all these years of being a Buddhist. If you look at Buddhist practice, so you find what is it that makes a religion? First of all, there is a set of beliefs. You follow those beliefs, and there are a set of rituals. You follow those rituals. You do together. You know, you don't really think much of personal effort. Belief is very important in religion. You have the same belief as everyone else, and then you practice same like everyone else. So you find it happens in other religions. Whereas in Buddhism, you find it's a bit different, right? So we're going to see how Buddhism is different. That does not make it a religion. In fact, it's very hard to define Buddhism because, very simply put, there are the three trainings, you know. So three trainings you have, for example, when you talk about keeping the precepts, right? The first is training in moral virtue, right? Sila, Sikha. That is about ethics. So Buddhism is ethics, right? Moral ethics. And then the ethics is to build up your mind. So that is psychology, right? In a good sense, right? And both of these together help you to get wisdom, right? So for simplicity, we can use the word philosophy in this case, Buddhist philosophy. So there are three aspects here. Religion is not there at all. So we have a very interesting situation here. So that's why the scholars are wondering, is Buddhism a religion? It doesn't really matter. Important thing is you practice, and here you are. You follow the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And we'll come back to this in a while. Section 4. In what way, Bante, is a lay follower accomplishing moral virtue? Okay, so here, Mahānāma asks another question. He already knows a bit of Buddhism, so he's asking the Buddha something else in terms of practice, right? I mentioned moral virtue, the starting of Buddhist training, right? So here the Buddha gives the standard definition. Mahānāma, when the follower refrains from killing living beings, refrains from taking the not given, refrains from sexual misconduct, refrains from false speech, refrains from strong drink, distilled drinks, fermented drinks, that which causes heedlessness. Then Mahānāma, he is accomplishing moral virtue. All right. So here, Mahānāma asks bases his question in terms of a basic practice of the qualities, basic qualities of a layperson, starting with faith, and the second, starting with moral virtue rather, and then the second quality is faith. Okay. So here, section 5, you have brackets 2. He asked the Buddha, in what way, Bante, is a lay follower accomplished in faith? Saddha sampadā. Notice here he already knows this set of teachings. Moral virtue, faith. Right? So now he asks, what is faith? So here, Mahānāma, says the Buddha, the lay follower has faith. He has faith in the Tathagata's awakening thus. So in other words, we have confidence that the Buddha awakened by his own effort, 6 years of practice. So too is he the Blessed One. So because of this, we see the Buddha as Bhagava, the Blessed One, for he is Arahat, fully self-awakened, accomplished in wisdom and conduct, well-farer, knower of worlds, peerless guide of tameable people, of tameable persons, teacher of gods and humans. Awaken, further down, no? Go down a bit, yeah. Awaken, blessed. Thus, Mahānāma, he is accomplished in faith. So we all heard this many times before. So again, I will explain this as a set in a while. Section 6, right? This time, Mahānāma asks about charity. Notice the sequence again. We start with moral virtue, faith, and then charity. In what way, Bante, is a lay follower accomplished in charity? Chaga sampadā. Like here, chaga means giving. Chaga, donating even. Chaga. Okay. That is the word in Thai. They use parichaga. So in Thai becomes porichak, means to give, to donate. Chaga sampadā. Here, Mahānāma, the lay follower, lives the household life. Notice household life, right? So the lay people with a mind free from the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed. Now notice very carefully here, the first line says, the lay follower lives the household life, right? So in other words, charity starts at home. Delighting in letting go. Devoted to charity. Delighting in giving and sharing. Now, this last word, the very last word, sharing, is often neglected, right? It means, sharing here also means this layperson is very happy to share with others, give dana. Because sometimes you find there's only one monk who comes, so one person gives is enough already. So what we do is we share with others. We just give one scoop of rice, and everyone gives one scoop of rice. So if there are 20 people, you have 20 scoop of rice. That's, and then plus other things. You find that's enough for one meal already. One meal, you take about 20 to 30 scoops, which is healthy eating, of a big spoon of rice, that is. So this Mahānāma, thus Mahānāma, he is accomplished in charity. So in other words, a lay person is also charitable, generous, kind. So notice that he starts, the first point in a lay person is cultivate moral virtue. And from there, you cultivate faith. And then you build up the faith by being charitable. And then number 4, section 7, is about wisdom. In what way, Bante, is a lay follower accomplished in wisdom? Panya sampadā. Here, Mahānāma, the lay follower, is wise, possessing wisdom, directed to noting the rising and falling away of phenomena, of mental states, of things, phenomena, Dhamma, that is noble and penetrative, leading to the complete destruction of suffering. In fact, the essence of wisdom, of vipassana, panya, is in these 2 lines. Possessing wisdom directed to rising and falling. We simply watch rising and falling of the breath, for example. Whatever things around us, you see there is this rise and fall. When you're cooking, you see the vegetables fresh, a bit hard, and then slowly becomes soft, becomes cooked. You see this kind of change, rising, falling, coming, going, on, off. You see these two aspects of interacting, life and death. They all go together, this dichotomy. So once you see this, you see it as impermanent. So this brings you to the path. And that's why it is called noble, because it brings you to the noble path, makes you a stream winner. And it is penetrative because you go through the path, you penetrate ignorance, and you reach nirvana. And there you are, the last phrase says just that, leading to the complete destruction of suffering. That is another word for nirvana. Thus, Mahānāma, he is a lay follower accomplishing wisdom. So notice, even for lay people, you're supposed to cultivate wisdom too, right? So in this case, you see the three trainings elaborated into four, right? You have keeping the precepts and then building up your faith. Here, faith can also mean you keep on doing it, you don't give up. And then this, you also share with others, not only things that you have, but also the Dhamma. In fact, in the second sutta, you see just that, sharing the Dhamma. And then finally, you have to cultivate wisdom for yourself so that you are free from suffering, that this teaching will free you. So this is the first teaching, very short and sweet, reminding us what we're supposed to do. And I'm going to elaborate on this because, as you know, this is a short sutta, and this is what the sutta is about. Once again, let me remind you, the Buddha, early Buddhism doesn't teach us everything. It doesn't tell us A to Z, this is what you must do. The Buddha teaches us just enough to start with. It's just like you learn how to drive a car, right? The instructor will tell you, okay, brakes, handle, whatever, all these things. So you know how to drive. Then you start practicing on your own. You got to do on your own. Then you begin to do everything almost automatically. So that part we have to do ourselves. There are many things which the Buddha didn't explain, because those are the things you have to realize that you can only see for yourself after you have done the basic practice. That is why some questions teachers won't answer, or they won't answer completely. To give you a bit of hint, because these are things you have to realize for yourself. Now, if you are a layman, you find you need to keep the 5 precepts, because we are not perfect in keeping the 5 precepts. We often break them. That's why you need to keep them. It's just like a game, you have football, right? There are rules. So if there are no rules, there's no game and there's no fun. You do not know who wins and so on. So the 5 precepts are like that. The 5 precepts remind us, yes, we have broken a rule, and then why did we break the rule? And then we apply the 4 Noble Truths, all the conditions. Why did we do it? How do we prevent it from happening? And then we apply it. So that part you have to practice for yourself. So not everything is laid out for you. The basic thing is given to you. Then after that, through your practice, hands-on, you know the rest. This is a very important aspect of Buddhism. Okay, so this is the first sutta. Let's look at the second sutta. Aṭṭhaka Mahānāma Sutta. So Aṭṭhaka means octet or the eights. That is the eighth discourse to Mahānāma, A 8.25. Or Upāsaka Mahānāma Sutta, the discourse on the layman to Mahānāma, or the discourse to the layman Mahānāma. So can, yeah. Pali is very flexible, okay? So what makes a true lay follower? Right, let's look at the sutta. Let's go further down. Section 1. Again, introduction is the same. The Buddha is staying in Nigroda's park. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Sakyas in Nigroda's park. But here, Nigroda, I mean banyan tree. You go to the Jurong Jurong Gardens, Jurong Lake Gardens, lots of Negroda, lots of banyan trees. Yeah? So, but here's the name of the person, Negroda. So we don't call it, we don't translate as Banyan Park, we say Negroda's Park near Kapilavatthu. Then Mahānāma the Sakya went up to the Blessed One. Having gone up to the Blessed One, he saluted him and sat down at one side. Sitting thus at one side, Mahānāma the Sakya said this to the Blessed One. Bante, how is one a lay follower? Notice he's asking the Buddha the same question again, right? So you will wonder how come he asked the same question again. It's for our benefit, because we are going to listen and hear Mahānāma asking these questions again. Then again, we can imagine in a real situation, you can say Mahānāma forgot some of the teachings Buddha gave because he's a very busy layman, he's a rich layman, he's got to run a home and so on. So he wants to be sure, so he asks the same question again. All right, so he has forgotten the early teachings. That's one way of putting it. All right. So here, the Buddha answers in the same way. Notice 1.2. When Mahānāma one has gone to the Buddha as refuge, to the Dhamma as refuge, to the Sangha as refuge, then Mahānāma one is a follower. Then Mahānāma asks, and how, Bante, is one a morally virtuous lay follower? So here in practice, like how does a layman practice? When Mahānāma, a lay follower, is one who refrains from killing living beings, one who refrains from taking the not given, one who refrains from sexual misconduct, one who refrains from false speech, one who refrains from strong drinks, distilled drinks, fermented drinks, that which causes sleeplessness, then Mahānāma, one is a morally virtuous lay follower. All right? And then what's the next question? Further down. So now again, Mahānāma asks, and how, Bante, does a lay follower lay for his own welfare, but not for the welfare of others? Now, this is a strange question, you might say. No? So, obviously, this Mahānāma has heard some teachings before. The Buddha has talked about doing good for yourself and also encouraging others to do good. So now Mahānāma is thinking for himself, okay, I'm practicing Dhamma. How do I also bring benefit to others? Okay, how do I benefit others with my own practice? Now, this part is new and this part is important. Let's look at it a bit more carefully. When Mahānāma, a lay follower, having faith himself, but does not rouse faith in another. Okay, this sentence is not complete, okay, so you got to hold on a bit. Huh? He has faith himself, he has faith, he reflects on the three jewels, but does not encourage others to have this faith, to build up this faith. Having moral virtue himself, he keeps the precepts himself, but does not rouse moral virtue in another. He does not encourage others to keep the precepts. Having generosity himself, but does not rouse generosity in others. He does not teach others to be good also. Having himself the desire to see the monks, he does not rouse in others a desire to see the monks. Okay, here to see the monks, to see good monks, of course, to see the arahats especially. To see, because these arahats are very peaceful, just looking at them, you gain faith. You see they're very peaceful. They don't pretend to be calm. They are really calm. You see them, you feel the asaji effect, as I call it, asaji effect, right? You see this calmness in the arahat by his demeanor, by his radiance, by his keeping of the Vinaya. So, when you see this kind of monks or teachers, what do? It's the next line. Having himself the desire to hear the Dhamma, but does not rouse others to hear the Dhamma. So you see the monks to see the Dhamma, to hear the true teaching. But he does not encourage others to do the same thing, to learn all this. So you have two halves here. We go back to the self half, right? So he has faith, moral virtue, generosity, desire to see the monks, then to hear the true Dhamma. And after you hear the true Dhamma, what should you do? You can look at the next line. Having himself remembered the Dhamma he has heard. So he hears the Dhamma, then he remembers it. But he does not rouse others to remember the Dhamma. So here I am trying to help you remember the Dhamma. And I also want to remember the Dhamma. So we do it together. That's the meaning here, fellowship. So we want to remember the teachings. So the simple suttas are very helpful in this way. It helps us to remember the basic teachings. And then after remembering all these teachings, we come to the next point. Okay, one more point. Having himself investigated the meaning of the Dhamma that he has remembered, but he does not rouse others to investigate the meaning of the Dhamma. So he investigates, but he doesn't make others curious. Right? So this is where we try to share something interesting with others. Right? So you investigate, find out what's the meaning of this. To find out means you got to ask questions, right? Okay, now we go on to the last part of this set. Having himself understood the Dhamma, understood its meaning, practices the Dhamma in keeping with the Dhamma. Okay, notice this, the way this is said, practices the Dhamma in keeping with the Dhamma. You follow the Dhamma way, not some other worldly way of doing things, magical or some other superstitious way. The Dhamma as taught by the Buddha. So having investigated, you practice it. And you have to encourage others to do the same also. Practice the Dhamma in keeping with the Dhamma. So there you are. We have 2, 4, 6, 8 things to do here. We have faith, we encourage faith in others. We have moral virtue, we encourage moral virtue in others. We practice generosity, we rouse generosity in others. We visit the good monks and teachers, we encourage others to do the same. In this case, you can say if you can't see the monks, then you basically learn the Dhamma, like, listening to videos, watching videos, talks, and so on. There are monks' talks on all kinds of YouTube and other mass media. Then desire to hear the true Dhamma, to remember it, then investigate the meaning. When you investigate the meaning, you understand the meaning. Then when you understand it, you practice it. See, a very interesting, very logical sequence, right? And the last part you find is the positive one, okay? Let's read it, and it's very clear, very direct, very simple. Section 4. These are the 8 special qualities of a stream winner, okay? As well as a good layman, but especially of a stream winner. And how, Bante, does a lay follower live for his own welfare and for the welfare of others? So that's the question Mahānāma asks, and then the Buddha replies, when Mahānāma, a lay follower, having faith himself, and rouses faith in another, having moral virtue himself and rouses moral virtue in others, having generosity himself and rouses generosity in others, having himself the desire to see the monks and rouses others to see the monks, having himself the desire to hear the true Dhamma and rouses others to hear the true Dhamma, himself remembers the Dhamma that he has heard and rouses others to remember the Dhamma. Having himself investigated the meaning of the Dhamma that he has remembered and rouses others to investigate the Dhamma's meaning. Having himself understood the Dhamma, understands the meaning and practices the Dhamma in keeping with the Dhamma, and he does the same encourage others to do the same, to practice, understand, to learn, understand, and then practice the Dhamma. Then Mahānāma, one is a lay follower who lives for his own welfare and for the welfare of others. So there you are, you see, these are the 8 qualities of a lay person, or especially a stream winner who has understood the teaching very well. But remember, don't give the excuse, oh, these are, stream winners, I'm not stream winner yet, so I don't have all these qualities. We build it up bit by bit. We try to practice what we can. We don't look at status and labels. We practice what we can. So these are the 2 suttas, and we will, just for the sake of convenience, we will take a short break, 5 minutes now, and then when we come back, I will explain to you how we connect the teachings of the 2 suttas together. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. We take the 5 minutes break now.
All right. Now I'm going to explain to you the 2 suttas in the interconnected way in terms of practice, to remind ourselves of this wonderful teaching called the Buddha Dhamma. I'm going to talk to you in terms of 3 things and four things. Okay, the 3 things are there are lots of 3s actually. We can talk about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the 3 refuges. Remember, the Buddha defined Buddhists as one who's taken the 3 refuges in both the suttas. And we also talk about the 3 trainings, right? Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Moral virtue, mental training, or Samadhi, concentration, and wisdom, all right? And then we talk about 4. I'll talk more about the 4 a little later, okay? Now, what does it mean to take the 3 refuges? The suttas tell you about, okay, the Buddha has got these qualities, you reflect on the Buddha. And the Dhamma has got these qualities, you reflect on the Dhamma, and the Sangha has special qualities, you reflect on them. Now you notice in many of my translations, I will use capital letters for Buddha, for Dhamma, but for Sangha, I use a small little s. Because here, the big S Sangha refers to a kind of what's called institutional Sangha, or a kind of a status situation, okay? There are titles and so on. So I use a small s to represent the path, the Sangha of the 4 individuals, the 4 persons. Stream winner, once-returner, non-returner, arahat. The path that leads to awakening. So that's another word for Sangha. So already here, you notice it's very important for us to understand the words we are using. You find in every religion there are words for good, for example, but each religion defines good in a different way. So it's very important for us to understand that there is no one definition for a word. But what does it mean for us? What did the Buddha teach about this word? Sangha, for example, right? So Sangha, of course, the simplest meaning is someone who becomes a monk, a renunciant, to practice and then become like the Buddha, attain awakening. And we also, if we practice the precepts properly, we will gain the path to become streamliness. So we gain the same path. It's just that, simply put, we are going a little slower than the good monk who goes for proper training. So when we talk about faith in the Buddha, for example, in terms of 3 jewels, what are we talking about? If you have faith in the Buddha, what should you do? I mean, it's not just, okay, I have faith in the Buddha and then we don't do anything. We see the Buddha statue. We know the Buddha was a human being. So we relate in terms of body, human body, right? That means moral virtue. We have a human body. Now the question is, as a Buddhist, what do we do with our body? Our body is capable of bad karma, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Killing is the first precept. Life is precious. All beings, even animals, treasure their life. Now in Singapore, a small country, we respect nature. You find lots of wild creatures, even birds, come very near you because they know you have food. We go to the park, you see squirrels, you see otters. There was a monkey the other day that came to visit us because we were carrying some food. So there are animals, even animals, they treasure their life. So that's the first precept, all right? And the second precept, you know, to live is to have things that make you happy, right? And then the third precept is to have the freedom of your body. So that represents the Buddha. The Buddha reminds us, keep your body morally virtuous. So that's the first, that's how you link the faith in the Buddha with sila, moral training. The Buddha is in my body, or my body is like the Buddha. So you reflect that way, then you practice keeping the precepts. If you're happy, you feel joyful, you have loving kindness, and easier to keep the precepts. When you're happy, when you're joyful, you find you are more ready, you are more able to cut down killing, for example. So many of us are very concerned, okay, should I kill an ant, should I kill a cockroach, and so on. It's the Dhamma speaker's nightmare. So hopefully you all won't ask this question, but they get asked because people are worried, you know, they respect life. So the point is, as you progress in your training on the path, you find it's easier to avoid breaking the precepts. Right now, we are concerned about it, and that concern is very compassionate because of compassion, right? We suffer because of our compassion. And we are joyful also because of our compassion. So this compassion, it works two ways. No? So compassion means you got to act out so that you're happy, right? That others are also happy. That's what the second sutta was about. Remember that you not only practice Dhamma, but you also encourage others to practice out of compassion for them. Because that's what you can, the best thing you can teach them, so that they can help themselves. So that's how you see the Buddha, right? You train your body and speech. What does that mean when you say you train your body and speech? You are also talking about the 5 precepts, right? Because when you restrain and refine your body and speech, you are keeping the 5 precepts. So you see how the Buddha, your body, moral virtue, 5 precepts are interconnected beautifully, right? Like a beautiful net. Yeah? And then there is the Dhamma. We have faith in the Dhamma, the Buddha's teaching. To have faith in the Dhamma, you practice. You practice meditation, mindfulness, and meditation, mindfulness, and samadhi, right? Here, the word Dhamma has got many meanings, right? The Dhamma means teaching. The Dhamma also means states of mind. Because when you talk about the Dhamma, we're talking about states of mind. So when you know the mind, when you want to know the mind, you have to be mindful. You do your meditation, you understand your mind better. All Dhamma teachings, sooner or later, bring you to this point of you looking into your mind and understanding yourself. What does this mean in this case? When you combine 1 and 2, it means you have to know yourself. So you ask, what am I? Okay, and then you can ask, why am I like this? And how can I be better? And then you do it, right? So now you have these 4 points, so the 4 truths, which we'll come to in a moment, okay? Here we're talking about the mind. The mind sees all this, and then the mind learns how to understand itself, practice to know itself, and to free itself. The purpose of Buddhist meditation is just that, to know the mind, to tame the mind, to free the mind. Now, sometimes the word self, aṭṭha, is used. Self-reliance. Right? Self-reliance also means body, speech, and mind. Self here means body, speech, and mind. Self-reliance means you rely on your own body by keeping the precepts. You rely on your mind, that is yourself. And then you free, through your own effort, you free yourself. Right? So the self here refers to the mind. So that is the Dhamma, the second jewel. Right? When you have faith in the Dhamma, you train your mind. Now you say, oh, what did Piya say? Okay, you rewind the video and watch again. Okay, then you find as you practice, all this becomes natural and clear. Then the third jewel is the Sangha, right? So how do we relate this? Now don't think of Sangha as important and popular monks, okay, or funny monks, right? They are not people in this case. They are individuals in the sense of they are practitioners of true reality. They are not people of high titles or great powers and magic and so on. That is the Buddhism as religion. Here, when you talk about Sangha, we're talking about the path, those who walk on the path, the great arahats, for example. Right? So when we talk of Sangha in that way, Sangha as path, Sangha as practice and path, supatipanno, well practice, right? We're talking about freeing the mind, right? So when we reflect on the Buddha, we should know the mind. We know the body. We know our body. We tame our body first because we see the Buddha as a human being. Okay. Then the Buddha teaches the Dhamma. The Buddha connects with us through our mind. So we know our minds. This is number 2. We know Dhamma, know the mind. And the third logical step is know the Sangha. The Sangha is the path. Is to free our mind so that we are on the path. To be free means to be on the path, the Eightfold Path. That is the Sangha, the real Sangha. Sangha are not important people, title people. They are those on the path. Okay? Or those who are heading for the path. That's one more way of putting it. So, to us as practitioners, Sangha means we practice, we are reminded to practice, to free our minds so that we too can walk the path. So you find that what the Buddha speaks of the fourfold assembly. That is the real Sangha, the noble Sangha of streamwinners, once-returners, non-returners, arahats. And you have monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen. They all form this Sangha. Okay? So this is the meaning of the purpose of being a Buddhist, using the number 3, the 3 refuges and the 3 trainings. So if you want to remember again, you can replay this section and watch it again. Right? So this is one little snippet on the 3 trainings, on the number 3. Okay. Now we go on to the second part, the number 4. We know about the 4 truths, the 4 noble truths, right? You all have heard of this famous sutta called the Sinsapa Sutta, right? The Buddha and the monks are walking through this forest one day, or they're all Sinsapa trees, one of those Indian trees, Sinsap, okay? Then the Buddha is sitting down, talking to the monks, and then he just takes up a handful of leaves. The sutta doesn't mention how many leaves. The sutta just says a handful of leaves. But my guess is there are 4 leaves in his hand. Why? Because of what the Buddha has to say. The Buddha says, monks, are there more leaves in the trees in the forest, or are those leaves in my hand? The monks, of course, reply, there are more leaves in the forest, in the trees. The hands and the leaves in the hand are only a few, right? Then the Buddha said, even so, right? So notice, even so, that means what you see out there in nature reflects the truth that the Buddha has to teach. So this is the natural teaching. teaching, following nature. So too, the Buddha says there's so much to know in the world. There's a lot of things you can know, but not all these things, very few of these things will help you. You only need this few handful of knowledge to free yourself from suffering. And what are these? What is this handful of knowledge? Then the Buddha talks about the Four Noble Truths, right? That's all you need to be free from suffering. Now, of course, you've heard of the Four Noble Truths many times. Suffering, arising of suffering, ending of suffering, the path. So tonight I'm going to speak to you about this in a more practical, slightly different way. Yeah? When we look at the first truth, we ask the question. Remember, these four truths are like problem-solving paradigm. Yeah? A set of 7 problem-solving tools. First thing is we ask ourselves questions. Like when you ask questions, you also solve problems. You ask, what am I? All right. So you can rephrase or reflect the Four Noble Truths in terms of 4 words, 3 questions and 1 answer. What, why, how? What, why, how? I remember when I was in NUS, there was one of the regular students whose name was something like why, how. So it's very easy to remember this teaching. Huh? Okay. What, why, how, and the last one is do. D-O, do. Okay. So the first noble truth, when you reflect on it, you ask yourself, what am I? We don't ask who am I? Because who is very artificial. We create this false idea, who am I? Yes, I'm a parent, I'm a friend, I am a computer worker, and so on. These are different parts of you. But the totality, the reality underlying all this, what are you really? Right. So what am I? This is what we have to ask and what we have to find out. Now, this is no easy answer. This is something that will build up your wisdom as you first ask the question, what am I? And then select what Dhamma do you know that can help you understand better. What am I? What are you? You can use the 5 aggregates, for example. Right? Usually people like to use the aggregates. Or you can use a simple 2, mind and matter, and so on. So you reflect from there, you reflect. Yeah? You can make notes. You can. I have one proofreader who's very nice, very kind person who draw very beautiful charts. Right? So after you ask, what am I? You reflect on it. You reflect on this noble truth. None of these are satisfactory. It shows all this description of what I am to be very uncertain, unstable. You can apply the 3 characteristics. Impermanent, everything is impermanent, therefore suffering. And all the principles underlying this are non-self. So different ways of looking at what am I, first noble truth, right? Of course, we remember it's everything is suffering, but sometimes we just keep on repeating it. When asked what does it mean, we suddenly go blank. We don't know it. So we got to reflect on this meaning. Eh? And I am teaching you to do that, right? So this is what the second sutta is about. You study the Dhamma, you encourage others to study it also. So what are the conditions that put together that make us? And then you ask yourself, second noble truth, why? Why? Why do these things happen like this? Why do I think like this? Why do I think? Right? So you can go back to this basic question, why do I think? Wow, this is not an easy question to answer. This is the question that has got no fixed answer. If you've got a fixed answer, too bad for you. That means you stop learning. One thing I've learned as a Buddhist, and reaching mid-70s, is that the answers that you learn change over time. They become clearer. It's like you're looking through a telescope at this distant nebula or this distant planet, right? Remember hundreds of years ago when Galileo looked through the telescope, blurry, the lenses were not powerful. Then now, wow, you can see even more clearly those images. So over time, when you keep on asking this question, the answers become clearer. That is why it is not wise to hold on to views and say, that's it, this is the right thing. All these views we hold are provisional for the time being. And as you understand better, you let go of the old views, you see things anew. It's clearer now. You see better now what's going on. Oh, that's what is really happening now. You begin to understand why I am like this, why I feel sad, why I feel happy, right? So this is why. Now, once you ask this why, then number 3 is how. How do I get out of this unhappy state? You ask why, then you know the reason, but you got to apply it. So how do I do it? How can I be happy, right? That's the third noble truth about overcoming craving, remember, right? It's about nirvana actually. But here we can say, how do I become happy? So you learn Dhamma. There's so many teachings given there. And then number 4, you go on to do it. You do it. You practice it. That's the path, the 4th noble truth. So there you are. Look at the 4 noble truths again. Number 1 is what am I? Number 2 is why am I? Number 3 is how am I? And then number 4 is I have to do it. Okay? Follow the path. Put in the action. Again, if you're not sure, stop a while, rewind the video and watch it again. Okay? So you can see all this when put together makes the teachings very clear, very helpful for us to remind us. They may sound very simple, but they give us, remind us, give us the essence to go back to the right practice. Practicing the Dhamma in keeping with the Dhamma. Not following books, not following teachers even, but following the Dhamma. Books and teachers are helpful, definitely. Just like books and guides are very important when you travel. But you must travel yourself. You got to be there, enjoying the scenery, and then you feel very happy enjoying things around you as you travel. So the Buddha Dhamma is like that. It's like a journey. It's the path. You travel this path, then you'll be happy. And I know you all are good travelers because you always have been together here to study together the suttas. So I will stop here for the time being so that you can ask questions. All right? About half an hour.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Thank you, Brother Piya. I'll pass the session to Sister Icy.
Thank you, Sister Wendy. Thank you, Brother Piya, for the Sutta teaching. The first question from Brother Peter Ling Chai.
Yeah.
He mentioned under this Sutta of lay Buddhists, it seems to be the same as the Mahayana Buddhism. Because as Bodhisattva for the saving of all sentient being, propagating the Buddhism.
Mm. So if it is the same, good, practice it, man. Practice it. Don't just say same and then we just stop there, right? So if it's the same, we practice it. The Buddha did not teach about those Bodhisattva, those are taught by later Mahayana teachers. The Buddha, this is the ancient teaching of the Buddha, right? So we're comparing apples to oranges, as they say, right? Or diamonds to sand, right? So if you have something which is from the Buddha, we should be happy, right, to hear directly from Buddha, right? So we don't have to compare with anything else. If you want to compare, also can, but make sure you practice it when you do the comparing. Because many good things look the same. They look the same, but what is it to us? What does it do to us? We have to practice it. The sameness comes from our practice, right? So remember this journey, this practice, this path. Okay? I started long ago, 50 years ago, trying to study everything about Buddhism, because I said, wow, Buddhism, so much to know. But as the years pass, I find there's so much to talk about, and some things they don't agree. They in fact contradict each other. And many of the things the Buddha did not teach. So I tell myself, I just want to, I'm quite happy with what the Buddha teach. I don't want to know so many other things which the Buddha did not teach. And so in the evening of my life, I come back to early Buddhism. I'm very happy with early Buddhism, which is quite enough. Okay. All right, let's have the next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Brother Peter Yoleng Chai mentioned that for him, following the Four Noble Truths and the Eight Noble Paths, chanting Om Mani Padme Hum, practicing meditation every night before sleep, sharing Buddhist view with whoever he has chance to general talking with, and contemplation in front of Sakyamuni Buddha statue with 3 rings of bell and chanting Namo Tassa Bhagavato is his way of being a lay follower.
It's your way of being a lay follower, not other people's way, not my way. It's your way, and I respect it. You go ahead, do it, but it's not my way, because I follow what the Buddha teaches. It's very simple. I just bow down wherever I feel like bowing down. I just bow down. You may think I'm bowing down to you, but I'm bowing down to the Buddha in my mind. And you happen to be in front, and that's fine. I want you feel happy. That's good. So the Buddha's teaching is very simple. Even Om Mani Padme Hum, it comes from Hinduism, from Savite Hinduism, which the Buddhists in India, they copied and then they changed it, into this meditation for Kuan Yin. So all these are later teachings which some people like to follow. So if it helps you, go ahead, follow it. But I've studied all these and I find I don't need them because I'm quite happy. Sometimes you go around the world, you find, wow, there are circuses, there are beautiful places, buildings and cultures, so many wonderful things in the world. You can see them and you just leave them where they are. Then you go home very happy, very peaceful. That's your home. If you're very happy and you're quite enough, you have quite enough things at home, you're very happy and you practice that. And that is what, as I said, after 50 years of Buddhism, I've come home to live very simply with the Buddha's teaching. Okay. All right, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Sister Ge Chui Hua. I have a mundane question about chaga. Its beauty and importance, which one loves to give, wants to give open-handedly, but because of limited budget, one often has to consider or think about how much to give and which causes to give to.
Right.
Is considered stinginess?
Oh, not at all. The Buddha, you're following the Buddha's teaching. You find in the Digajana Sutta, for example, the Buddha says someone, you have to work hard, and you work hard, you feel happy. You say, oh, I've worked and then I have got this much, okay? And that's the joy of working, all right? And then joy of having also, if you like. And then you spend that, okay? Then you say, oh, I'm so happy I can use this money to spend. And then the Buddha also says you won't spend more than what you have. You have to budget yourself, because if you spend more than what you have, then you will lose your wealth. You'll be poor, right? At the same time, you have a lot of money and you don't want to spend, you're so stingy again, you won't be happy. Then you're not using your wealth in a joyful way. So balanced life is very important, in other words. And the most important of all is to be blame-free. That means don't break the precepts, all right? So give what you can, take what you need. This is the basis of right livelihood. And there are many ways of giving. We don't give money to monks, for example. We are used to it in Singapore. See, we think that everything can be measured in money, right? But that's a wrong attitude. And that is destroying the Sangha. We are giving money to monks until they get so used to it. You know, now I have friends who went to Sri Lanka, Singaporeans who went to Sri Lanka, and the one monk came along and pulled him by the hand and said, "Oh, ang pao, you know." So they see Singaporean, all they think is ang pao, see? Donation package. That's what's happened to us when we think only giving is money. You can give money when the time is right to the proper people. You can give time. You know, someone comes to you and asks you a question or needs someone to talk to, you give time, and time is really a wonderful gift. Old people, you know how lonely they are, old people. As you grow older, you become lonely if you're not careful. So then you spend time with them. You give time to old people. They value this, and they pass on happily, right? So gift of time is very precious and immeasurable. How do you measure how much time costs, right? And then there is a gift of course, the highest gift is the gift of the Dhamma. You gently explain how to be happy, how to practice the Buddha's teaching rightly, simply. So the gift of the Dhamma is the highest gift. So there are other ways of giving also, all right? So yes, that is very wise of you to balance your life in terms of your work and your salary and so on. And the Buddha teaches this kind of balanced life in the Sigalovada Sutta. Okay, Brother Ryan was asking for that pie chart. And the Buddha talks about how many percent we should save, 25% saving, you know, and how much we should invest in another 25%. And then 25% we spend for the family and friends and so on, right? And then the last 25 is what? No, the 5%, only 5% you use for Dhamma work and so on. So if you want this chart and the details, so just message me on Telegram. I will send it to you. It is in the Sigalovada Sutta and the Digajana Sutta. Okay. All right, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. The next one is a statement from Brother Ryan Gore. He mentioned that the best gift is the gift of Dhamma.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Why is the best gift the gift of the Dhamma? It's because it's like you tell a lost traveler the way, see, how to go, and this traveler knows where to go safely, right? So this is that's what the Buddha, we're so grateful to the Buddha. He has given us the Dhamma. And today you find so many people from different disciplines, different learning, East and West, they're learning the Dhamma. You know, I'm doing a very interesting title for SD 60.1c. The title is simply Buddhist experience. And that's a lot to wrap about Buddhist experience. How people in different cultures experience Buddhism. What is Buddhist experience? How do people experience Buddhism? Right? Then I realized Buddhism is not a religion. Buddhism is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. You see? So in other words, it's something for us to practice. So, and I'm enjoying writing this. That is why doing Dhamma work is such a happy way of life. Okay, next question.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Brother Peter Yerling Chai.
Okay.
Sharing the view of helping others, he stuck with this saying like, the mud Buddha crossed river cannot save itself, then how to help others?
So you have a lot of clever sayings. Let's show us your wisdom. Just be careful, because I often make fun of the Zen people, you know. So it's because when people say clever things, I just want to know the wisdom behind it. All right. So if you say clever things before me, show me your wisdom so that I can learn from you. All right, would you like to try? There are a lot of sayings, but remember, it's the practice that really counts. Okay. Sometimes we don't have to say anything. It also helps. Just be there listening to people. You know, one of the things that frightened me is to visit a very sick, dying friend, you know. What do I say? I'm so terrified. I said, I don't know what to say because this person is leaving me, you know. So I feel very sad, right? So then I told myself, oh, okay, that's reality, you know. You just be there with this person. Hold his hand, show your metta. Just look at this friend and listen to him. He will talk to you. He will ask you questions and you answer. And sometimes it's just that simple. You know, sometimes, I mean, it's good that you remind me about these things. We feel that religion, wow, we have to give grand words and say words which are very tricky and clever, Zen-like, we say. No? But the reality is we all have to change. We have to become clear-minded and humble and follow the Buddha. Very often now is that we are divided into camps and we will say, oh, my teacher is so-and-so, and then we glorify this teacher. We are all teacher followers. And yet we say, follow the Dhamma, not the teacher. Follow the teaching, not the teacher. We are going against ourselves. So follow what you have said. Follow the teaching. But the teachers themselves are not enlightened. The teachers themselves have so much problems. So you go directly to the Dhamma. You practice the Dhamma. And maybe the teacher sees your example, the teacher will follow you. All right. So this is one thing I've learned. The teachers themselves need help. Because they're the ones doing most of the talking, so you think, oh, they're always right. So this is where it's not always the case. Right? So when you are sitting quietly, seeing the Dhamma, you're at peace with yourself, you are the best teacher because the teaching is inside you at that time. So that's the meaning, taking refuge in the Dhamma. Okay, next question.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. I would like to add on to just now the statement from Brother Peter Yo. He mentioned that he can only help whatever he can. And then the next statement from Sister Chu Hua. According to the Sigalovada Sutta, 25% of our income should go to family expenses, 25% to savings, and 50% to build your business in order to secure your future.
Correct, yeah.
She remembered correctly.
Yes, yes. Very good, yeah. Yeah, so this one, again, is a guideline. Now we don't have to be very exact, unless you're running a business. Again, business people might disagree. They say, oh, you know, we cannot put so much savings and so on. There's so much borrowing nowadays. So you got to use your wisdom on how to do all this. You must use your wisdom because remember what the Buddha said. If this teaching is, the meaning has to be drawn out. It's a worldly teaching, so you don't follow it exactly as it is, you see. Because it may be true in the Buddha's time, but today you say, okay, this is a very good guideline, but how do I apply it today? Proper application, see? Because this is not the precept. These are worldly things that Buddha is guiding us, something extra. So you must use your training because you know the world around you, then you apply that training. So this is called the Neyata teaching, the teaching whose meaning has to be drawn out. But when you talk about impermanence, you talk about people suffering, you can't change that. That one is Nitata teaching. The meaning is direct. Okay, so there are teachings where the meaning has been drawn out, because those are stories. They refer to worldly things, right? And there are teaching which is pure Dhamma, talking about the mind, impermanence, which you take it as it is. So you must know the difference here. So teaching like the budget, the pie chart, you can adjust. You can kind of not freely adjust. You sensibly, through your wisdom and understanding and experience, you adjust. And the Buddha is there just to guide you. And this freedom is there as a Buddhist. Okay, next question.
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's no more question in the chat box at the moment.
Okay, well, that's 15 minutes.
Sorry. Just pop up one from Sister Chuha.
Sure.
Brother Piya has said some insightful teachings tonight in the Q&A. A very practical, inspiring, nice, and very real. Is it possible for us to have a copy of tonight's recording?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is all be online, YouTube, so you can easily download all these things. You want more information, you just contact Ratna on Telegram, right? Ratna, we're only happy to chat with you.
We are doing the recording, and once it's edited, will be posted on our Telegram.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so how do they get it, Ratna?
It's all posted on our Telegram group. Everything is there.
Yes, Telegram group. And we have another website, dhammafera.org, where all the sutta translations are there. All the 20 years of translations, over 10,000 pages. I said 10,000 pages 10 years ago, I think. Now, so, I don't know how many thousand. I've given up counting already. So there are lots of pages there. You can select whatever you need. And do contact us for the latest ones. Okay. Remember, once again, remind you, you look at the very last line, right at the end of the sutta, you have computerized dates. So from the dates that you will know whether it's the latest or not. If you're not sure, just contact us on Telegram. That's what it's for. And ask for the latest one we'll send to you. Yeah, okay. Next question, any more?
Thank you, Brother Piya. Yes, this question from YBD. Do we need to take refuge in ourselves first besides Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha?
Yes, that's interesting. Normally, traditionally, we hear of the three refuges, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, because there are these three things to begin with, right? So that if we just say one, it might be difficult for the beginners. So that you have Buddha, teacher, Dhamma, the teaching, and then Sangha, the teachee, if you like, meaning those who practice, those who show that it works, and they become free from suffering. But remember, in the Garava Sutta, even the Buddha puts the Dhamma above himself. So the one true refuge is the Dhamma. So we take refuge in the Dhamma in that sense. So the Buddha even himself declared, he put the Dhamma above himself. He himself showed respect to the Dhamma in the Garava Sutta, the Sutta on respect. So yes, we take refuge in the teaching, and we do this by practicing. By practicing it. In that sense, we show self-reliance. So by showing self-reliance, Aṭṭhaka means self as refuge. You take yourself as the refuge, right? Aṭṭhaka, self as refuge. So that is another way of putting it in terms of practice. Self as refuge means you put in the effort because only in that way you can be free from suffering. No one can do that for you. The Buddha brings us the Dhamma, but you got to practice it. You bring a horse to water, but the horse must drink the water himself, as the English proverb goes. So very true. All right, any more questions or?
Thank you, Brother Piya. Brother Maya Upal
yes.
would like to ask a question.
Oh yes, Maya, yes. Your question now.
Thank you, Sister Brother Piya. Okay, this may sound a little bit like nitpicking, but I want to ask. One is that, say somebody comes to you and he does not know something that he really should know. And I say something like, how can you not know this? The whole world knows about it. Like, you use phrases like this. So this, like using this phrase, that whole world knows about it, does it still break the fourth precept? Because I actually don't know whether the whole world knows about it or not. There are maybe more people who don't know about it, but we kind of say things like this. So does it break the fourth precept, or we need to be like even more careful with our choice of words and phrases?
Yeah. Oh, it's called hyperbole. Okay, hyperbole. I suppose in India it's a popular way of talking, and we say fish story. Yeah, we caught a fish this big, and now it's very tiny. Okay, so I mean, children love this kind of talk, you see. And I love talking to children because of this, because I can exaggerate any way I like. I just love doing this, and they love listening to me. And I miss that, I'm not telling stories to children lately. So, and they'll listen to you because their mind is so open, Of course, as they grow older, the fish become smaller, see, and they become more real. They say, oh, okay, this is the real world. See? So that's how we learn, right? So learn to know different friends with different eccentricities, different ways of talking. So you can say, oh, okay, what you mean is this, right? It's just that sometimes, of course, you have to talk in a more realistic way. It doesn't always work. Sometimes people talk everything very big, but in the end, they don't do anything. That kind of person you got to avoid because they're not very helpful, right? So we say these are just gas bags, and they're not very helpful. So some people, they don't talk much, and you need help, they just help you just like that. And that can be quite amazing. Right? So this is where you begin to know who are your wise friends. All right, and any other question?
I have one more follow-up regarding precept against lying. So sometimes you are not able to say something, say out of shyness or out of fear. Okay. You're not able to say something, or you really want to do something, but again, because of some internal shyness or fear or whatever, some emotion holding you back, you are not able to do something. Okay. So is that also a form of lying, as in the sense that you're not being authentic or honest in what you actually wanted to say or do?
I think that's Asian shyness. There's a Pali word for this, kasaraja, a kind of shyness. So the Buddha is said to have vesaraja, the courage. It's not afraid to speak out, right? Middle way, see, because you have to know the right time to be silent, right time to speak, and speaking just enough. And even then, it's not easy because the Buddha says you speak a lot, you get blame. You speak too little, you get blame. You remain silent also, you get blame. See, people blame you somehow. So, but if you're right, then you're not concerned about the blame because this blame is just people's opinion. So you don't worry about them. Okay. If people blame me, I'll be very happy. I say, okay, tell me what's wrong. For example, somebody will say, oh, your writing is so difficult to read. I say, okay, then I simplify it, something that so that this person can understand. But I'm not going to change everything until my style is affected, you see, because I have a certain style. And so people say, oh, you write only nothing but problems and it's so depressing. I say, okay, then I write it in a funny way. So I hope they will read those funny stories. There's always something there, right? But important thing is you got to ask yourself, what is it I want to speak or to talk about? What is it I want to tell the world about? Something important that you want to tell people. So imagine if you are Charles Dickens, and then you listen to all your critics. Critics say, oh, you should not talk bad about this, you should not write about that. So in the end, there's no Charles Dickens, and we've lost his really wonderful writer in the literary world. So you have to be courageous in writing what you feel you need to write, because your writing will beautify the world. Your knowledge, your creation, your artistic quality will brighten this world, right? So whenever you do something good like that, there will be critics. It means your work is being appreciated. That's another way of putting it. Yeah. So don't be afraid to tell the truth in a gentle way, right time. And right time to just be silent about it too. Okay, we have about 5 more minutes.
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's a question from Brother Ryan Go.
Yes.
Sadhu Bante, time permitting, can Bante kindly comment on taking lives in relation to death sentence and abortion for medical reasons?
Medical reasons. Yeah, this is quite difficult. As we say, in Buddhism, life is precious. And there are certain things a good monk will never answer. Never, to be fair to a monk, never ask the monk questions about abortion. But the monk's answer is very clear. Don't kill. Of course, on the other hand, a doctor will probably would tell you, okay, you got to examine a few things, right? So you have to have a doctor, a couple of doctors perhaps, and to see the health of this woman. Is she going to be safe to have this baby? If not, then the earlier the counseling is done, the better, because the earlier the baby is aborted, you find at least you can be more certain that the consciousness has not descended. Because the descent of the consciousness is quite controversial. We have no clear answer about that. So this is where we listen to the medical experts. We're not talking about theory and some philosophy here. We're talking about life of a person, this woman. So you have to really put her first and then ask her all the proper questions. So this is a doctor's job, you know. So in a sense, even the Buddhist has to stand back and say, okay, let's watch what the doctor says, and then we learn from that. Even doctors respect life, you see. Right? The doctors will tell you, okay, life starts like this, and then this is how this is still safe at this stage to abort or not to abort. So there are some questions I think we Buddhists wouldn't answer because it's really difficult, and we will rather leave it to the experts in that category of knowledge to answer. And then we look at it, and then from there we learn something also. So it's a very difficult question, and I don't want to give any easy answers to it, all right? And the worst thing is that we quoted and then things happen, I feel terrible about it, right? So we have to respect life, definitely, all right? And we also have to give women some freedom, sensible freedom, so that they live happily and their health will not be affected in any negative way. Okay. All right, any other questions?
Thank you, Brother Piya.
So now I want to take our family photo first.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, well,
Please turn on your video. Yeah, there's one part regarding Ryan's question. It's talk about life sentence.
Yeah. How about that?
Did you answer that about life sentence?
Oh, life sentence, huh? Oh yes. You should read our Minister of Law's answer to I think it's a BBC interview, I think. He gave a very good reply from a politician's point of view, why Singapore, they still have their sentence. It's something really terrible to kill someone, you know. Of course, in Buddhism, even the Buddha says, you know, these kings, they're going to suffer very bad karma, you know, because the kings kill people. So there is karmic responsibility there, you know. So in that sense, the government is very strong. They take their responsibility because they are afraid many more will die. So the famous line in that interview, Straits Times, was this yesterday? Straits Times, you know. This minister told the interviewer, he says, you know, you highlight, you dramatize the killing of one man, the drug addict, drug pusher, but then you just say 1 million people affected by the drugs is only a statistic, you know. So it's talking about humanness. So that is quite true also. The idea of capital punishment reflects a weakness in human justice. What we cannot change, we destroy. So there are things we need to do. We need to find out what made this person a drug pusher. Why is it happening? How can we change this? And maybe we should study some European countries, how they deal with this, how bad the problems are. We got to study a few European countries, how they deal with all this drug problem. So this is not easy. When you run a country, there are decisions you have to make. So all I can do is I can say, okay, we Buddhists respect life, right? But the final decision has to be in the hands of people who run the country, because they are the ones who will be responsible anyway. So as a Buddhist, I would say taking a life is definitely wrong. We have no right to take the life of another at any level. But it's a very dangerous statement to make, because those nasty criminals say, yes, Buddhi, the Buddhists are for us, and they'll do what they like, and you won't be safe if there's so many such nasty people around. So the next part is, how do we prevent them from taking charge, from really taking away our freedom and causing us danger? So there are two parts to this answer. Yes, we are against capital punishment, but how do we prevent these crimes, these criminals, from going freely, doing what they want to do? So there are two sides to it. So this is more legislation. Religion cannot do this. The Buddha did not teach us to do this, because it's a politician's job. But the politician can use Buddhist teaching of compassion and wisdom and deal with this. And I think the time will come when the good government, they work together and they can solve this kind of problem. And I hope that, I believe that's the direction we are going with the development of science and global cooperation and so on. So I like to think positively about the future. Having said that, I still stay taking life of human beings is wrong from the Buddhist point of view anyway. Okay, all right. So we've come to the end.
Okay, yes,
last,
yeah. Sorry, your videos, please.
Okay, photo time. Okay, let's see your human faces now. Okay, some more.
Okay.
Mita, Vicky.
Asmita's Jagannath not working.
Okay.
Vicky, are you there?
All right, good.
Okay, good. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you very much.
One photo, yeah.
Enough, lah. You can duplicate, no problem.
Okay. All right. So no more last minute questions, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Piya.
Piya,
Yes,
Brother Piya,
yes, yes.
this one, this 9 attributes, these are the Buddhanussati, yeah?
Yes.
And then this rising and fall, that is the nimitta.
No, rise and fall is simply, it's more vipassana actually. Vipassana.
Yeah, and then if we call it after this rise and fall, this is the wisdom, this is the nimitta.
Nimitta is just a sign. It simply means sign. Whatever sign.
Okay,
okay. Nimitta, yeah.
And this one about the, if you see the Dhamma, you see me, and if you see me, you see the Dhamma. That is, can you put it inside here, no? To the meaning.
Yeah, what the Buddha spoke that specifically to Wakali, who was admiring the Buddha's person. So he's saying, don't see me as a being. A being passed away. This body is impure, So you got to see impermanence, see the three characteristics in him. That way you see the Dhamma.
Okay.
Is there someone else just now who has a question?
Teacher Piya.
Yes.
Can I ask this?
Yes,
is the Heart Sutra mentioned in this?
No, Heart Sutra is not found in the early Buddhist teachings. Those are written during the philosophical period, a few hundred years after Buddha's time. They try to summarize everything very nicely and in a profound way. So, I mean, you can read it, then reflect on impermanence and non-self, but it's not, important thing is it's not found in the early suttas. I mean, just like you find there's a good book today, someone writes something very nice, and then we quote this person. So it's quite all right like that. It's just that we should know that it is not in the suttas. We won't quote it as a sutta. Yeah, but the usefulness of it is still there. Okay, so we keep our minds open that way. Okay, anything else? Any last minute?
I don't know where I read this part that says the Buddha spoke to Sariputta in the Vulture's Hill, and the Bodhisattva was present, and he mentioned about this. It's not the Heart Sutra. It's talking about. I can't remember what exactly, but he mentioned about something like that.
When you remember, you can ask it again, right?
But it's not mentioned there, is it? It is not mentioned in the sutta itself.
No, I don't know what your question is, so I can answer it.
Maybe I can send to you. Thank you.
Sure, okay.
Thank you.
All right, so let us end here. Another nice weekend to you, I hope. So once again, let us just spend a quiet moment to remind us of the beauty of the Buddha's teaching and how fortunate we are to be in touch with one another. And we have this access to the early Buddhist texts. And don't always assume these early Buddhist teachings are there. So we have to look for it, we have to treasure it. It's like a diamond, single diamond, very rare. It's not like the sand of the Ganges. It's not, the value is not so much. But here's one precious diamond, that's the Buddha. That's the Dhamma. Yeah? So reflecting in this way, we recall how today we have gathered together in different parts of the world. We have recited the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts. We have done some meditation. We have listened to the Buddha's teaching. We have asked questions. By all these wonderful good deeds we have done, may we be well and happy. May you all be well and happy. Send your loving kindness and good wishes to others, to people you care for, wishing them well and happy. And now we show our gratitude to the 3 jewels by bowing down to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava, Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo, Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.